And that could really shake things up, depending on what they say.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork here. We know what Invivyd does. We know about the products. We know about their crazy stock performance. But there's still a lot more to unpack, especially with that earnings report looming.
Let's take a deeper look at their financials and then try to game out some potential scenarios for that all-important earnings call.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Okay, so we were just talking about how this earnings report could really make or break things for Invivyd. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at their financials, where they stand right now.
Yeah, the numbers, they can be a little dry sometimes, but they really do paint a picture.
And in this case, I think it's a pretty interesting picture. On one hand, you've got this strong revenue growth, especially in that last quarter of 2024. But then on the other hand, they're still operating at a loss.
Yeah, that seems to be the big sticking point for a lot of those analysts who are, well, let's just say they're not exactly jumping for joy about Invivyd.
I mean, revenue growth is great, but at some point, they've got to turn a profit, right?
Exactly. And that's where things get a little tricky. Because right now, a big chunk of their revenue is coming from PEMGARDA, specifically its use for pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Okay, so that makes sense. But they didn't get that expanded authorization for treatment.
Yeah.
So how are they going to keep that revenue stream flowing, let alone grow it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's why this earnings report is so important. We need to pay attention to what they're saying, reading between the lines even.
Like, what are they saying about PEMGARDA sales? What are their projections for future growth? And how much are they banking on VYD 2311 to, fill that gap?
Exactly. Those are the key things to watch for. Are they still projecting growth? Are they talking about reaching profitability? And if so, when?
And we can't forget about expenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biotech companies, they're famous for spending a ton of money on research and development, especially when they've got multiple products in the pipeline.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on their research and development spending. Is it going up? Is it going down? And how are they dividing that money between PEMGARDA, VYD 2311, and anything else they might have cooking?
This is starting to feel like we're like financial detectives or something.
Yeah, a little bit. We're looking for clues in these financial statements.
We're trying to piece together the puzzle. And I think it's time to put on our detective hats and play out some potential scenarios for this earnings report.
Let's do it. Let's start with the best case scenario. What would a real home run look like for Invivyd?
Okay, so in a perfect world, they come out and just blow everyone away. They beat those earnings expectations, proving that their business is strong.
That's a great start. They also need to give us some positive updates on VYD 2311. Show us that it's moving along nicely through those clinical trials.
Right. Give investors some confidence that this thing could really be the game changer they're hoping for. And of course, they